So, guys, hello.
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 Thanks for being on here. I'm Vince Gonzales. This is the Creative Podcast. Um, I'm excited today to have, as a quick intro, Kara Bertok and Debralee Daco with us from Karaoke. Um, Kara is a lover of music and a lover of putting on a show. I think that's a fair statement.
Yeah, sounds good.
Classically trained in voice, never shies away from a good 80s ballad or a show tune. And you've been hosting karaoke for about 10 years. And then you created Karaoke in 2015. You've enjoyed bringing the brand in front of clients like Netflix and ZipRecruiter and on TV shows like The Masked Singer and Crazy Ex-Girlfriend. So that's pretty cool. Deborah Lee, you've been very musical since you were very young, singing, dancing, and trained on the piano. You studied at Evangel University and the American Musical Dramatic Academy in New York City, and worked at the Seattle Repertory Theater Virtual Gala, and then off Broadway at the Public Theater in New York City with David Byrne and Alex Timber. Cool. You've traveled with the North American tour of Miss Saigon. Wow. And you've been working with Karaoke and Kara since 2019, and you enjoy surfing, paddleboarding, yoga, cycling, and travel. So you guys don't really, you guys are kind of just sort of sit around, don't do much. So hopefully in this intervention, we can help you think of new things to do to sort of get you off the couch.
Good.
But thanks again. I really, really appreciate your time today. I know that you guys are kind of spread out all over. And how is that an introduction to you guys? Did I miss anything out? Leave anything out?
Just Alex Timbers with an S.
Alex Timbers. Yeah, I don't want his hate mail.
No, all good. And it's you actually are one of the first people to say evangel. It's evangel. Yeah, evangel. It's a private liberal arts and science school in Springfield, Missouri. It's really kind of unknown unless you were in the Christian contemporary music world.
Well, that was probably a lot of fun, right? Because it was probably really intimate and small. I would imagine there's a lot of freedom in being in that kind of environment.
Yeah, I went to a big high school. So I chose, instead of a huge university, I thought, you know what, maybe I'll go to a smaller school nearby. My music director went there. I saw the traveling tours come through my church, and it just felt like a good fit. And it was far away enough from home, but close enough to go, for breaks.
Yeah, that makes total sense. Wow, that's exciting. And Kara, tell me about how this all started. What was your desire to put this together, the Karaoke?
Oh, wow. That's a loaded question for sure. Let's see. The shortest version, I guess, is I just always sang karaoke, if you can believe it. My grandma had an 8-track singing machine. So I learned how to hold a microphone when I was 2. I thought this was like totally normal, that everyone had a singing machine. Everyone spent weekends at their grandma's singing, old standards, like It Had to Be You and Somewhere Over the Rainbow. So I grew up loving karaoke, and in the thick of all that, did community theater, sang in choir. And then, I turned 21 and my friends were like, you do know you can like go to bars and drink and sing karaoke, right? I'm like, what? That's a thing? So I ended up moving to New York with $100 in my pocket. Don't really advise that, but it worked out. And after a few years, I had landed in like a day job doing marketing and advertising for Broadway and off-Broadway shows, and saw an ad on Craigslist for a dive bar in New York that needed a karaoke host. And of course, I got that job right away, and it was so much fun. And I actually didn't even sing so much as a host, but I loved that. It was just all about getting everyone in the bar on their feet and having a good time. And, this is just a side gig. I did it like every Friday night from 8 p.m. to like 5 a.m. in the morning, because,
Wow.
New York bars stay open and they keep telling you, keep going. Those 2 guys that keep singing karaoke, they keep buying a lot of alcohol. So I would, have to stay pretty late. And I loved that I had an outlet to be around people, sing, loved karaoke. So it was years later in 2015, I landed in Los Angeles really by accident, never wanted to move there. And I lost my job. And at that point in my life where I'm like, okay, well, I want to do something I love. Randomly saw a girl at a backyard party hosting karaoke and, picked her brain like, what's the deal? Are you just a friend? Or she's like, no, this is my full-time job. I host karaoke. We actually became friends. I got her information and I thought, you know what? I'm going to give this a shot. My real name is Kara. That's true. You can see it on my driver's license. So that's when I took like a free online business course through this women's nonprofit that helped women start their own businesses. And I started Kara Karaoke Entertainment. And within about 2 years, I was able to make it my full-time gig and able to bring on some people to help me out, some contractors to help me out. And I'm sure we'll get into that. But Debralee is actually a friend of mine from New York. And nice. I didn't know she had moved to Los Angeles. So it was kind of like we had lost touch. I found her on Facebook, and it's just been great to reunite. And kind of, we weren't really good friends in New York. We were acquaintances. And honestly, I feel like she's one of my closest friends now. And she is so much fun as a karaoke host. I mean, Vince, you've seen her in action in a virtual sense.
I've seen it. I've seen it twice.
It's just been fantastic, and we've been able to host together, and people can tell we're having a good time while we're hosting, and hoping we can get everyone else to have a good time too.
Totally. And what was it like? You sort of organically found like karaoke is a great outlet for you to sing. But is there other environments that you really enjoy, like being on stage or being on production or in halls? Is what really gets your juice going when you're environments for when you perform?
I grew up doing musical theater, and I actually sang in a Christian contemporary band in high school, and thought, I want to be a performer and I want to be on Broadway. But I really had a problem remembering lyrics. I mean, it was just a big joke when I would do shows. My castmates would be like, dude, you keep repeating the first verse. You gotta learn the words. And I think that's why I like karaoke, because there's no pressure. You can just have a good time. And I mean, I've trained classically and I know what I'm doing when I'm singing, but when I do karaoke, it's just all about picking the fun stuff. And that's what I love about it, because I'm not there to perform and get any accolades. I would much rather me start singing and you just steal the microphone out of my hands and take it. Now, that's not to say though, Vince, if someone said, Kara, I want to pay you to, perform and sing somewhere, I would certainly do it, but I wouldn't say it's something I really pursue. I mean, my husband's a composer. I sometimes will sing on film scores for him, and
nice.
Debralee and I also, we sing together with the Angel City Chorale in Los Angeles. So
very cool.
I would say those are kind of like my performance outlets, and karaoke is more of my just having fun with people. No stress performance.
Yeah. I get that. I love that. And what's how would you, for a stranger rolling up to you, how do you describe karaoke?
I tell a stranger I'm a mobile karaoke host. So I come to you with all the equipment. You don't have to worry about anything. And I'm going to make sure everyone at your party has a good time, whether they like to sing or not. We're going to ease everyone into it, kick it off. We're there to support with harmonies, background vocals. We like to do a little dancing, encouraging backup dancers, so that we're ultimately professional MCs, right? Instead of DJs scratching, in between songs, we're playing music to keep people energized and make sure everyone's having a blast, even if they don't want to sing at all.
So I will tell you, when this concept of doing this with you guys came up, I immediately got a pit in my stomach.
Why? Because you
So
thought we
as
were
a
going to make you
non-singer,
sing
I was
on the
like,
spot?
I am not doing karaoke. Nope. I'm going to I'm going to possum out on the floor and feign a back injury. Something's going to get me out of this. And I will tell you, we've done it twice, and it's a freaking blast. It's a lot of fun. And I didn't have to sing. I mean, certainly for those of us in our circle that can sing, you can't keep a good singer down. But if you choose not to, I had a total ball. It was a lot of fun. You guys put on a great show.
Can we get that quote? We're going to plaster it on the website.
I'll send you the recording. You can just loop it.
You know what, though, Vince? I have to tell you, this is what, and Debralee and I talk about this a lot. This is why we love to host, because you'd be surprised how many people will be at karaoke who say they've never sung karaoke. They've never been in front of a crowd. They have so much anxiety about it. And I have to tell you this one party I did that really kind of changed how I looked at it. There was this man there, probably in his 50s. He was very quiet. But as per usual, every party I'm walking around, I introduce myself to everybody. And even if people don't want to sing, what kind of music do you like? Just to kind of gauge, if I sing, maybe that they'll sing with me. And I spoke to this man, and he said, I believe it was, he liked Motown. Like, oh my gosh, I love Motown. If I sing, do you know the song Build Me Up Buttercup? He's like, I love that song. Like, oh my gosh, will you sing it with me? So I got him up there. We sang a duet together. And it was so much fun. I got him up there again to sing something else. And at the end of the party, his mother was there and his father. And they came up to me, and she was so emotional. I thought something was wrong. And she said, I don't think you know what you've done. My son is very autistic. He's never gotten in front of a group before. I've never seen him get in front of a group, even if it's just a few people. Thank you so much for helping him open up in front of everybody. And I think that just goes to show like the power of music, the power of coming together. And in that case, he knew some of the people at the party, but he didn't know everybody. And he still got up there, and he had a great time. And just the smile on his face was worth it. So that's why I do it, just to see people having a blast.
Well, that's amazing, and I bow down to both of you guys because I'm a fan of music and a consumer of music, and I was never a singer or I was never in any kind of music, which was a mistake. But when I look at you guys at the pro level that you are, and I see what you can do, I'm just in awe. I mean, it is really just incredible to watch people like you guys at your level. It's just really totally inspiring. So from the other side of the fence, thank you, because we really dig it. I mean, it's just, for those of us that can't play, it's amazing. It's amazing to watch.
Oh, thank you. That's why we do it, to hear that. Exactly.
Exactly. Cool. And Debralee, so I'm going to ask you the same thing because I read inaccurately off a sheet of paper your background, but really I wanted to tell me about the things when you were younger, when you look back now, that really got you excited to sort of want to be in this environment. Like, what was it personally for you?
Well, ironically, I'm home at my parents', so hence the bedroom. And
two of the posters in the background that you've been on, correct?
My shows, yeah, of course. My mom likes to. She has pictures everywhere.
Good mom.
All family growing up, and I actually grew up to a singing family. It's in our culture. My parents are Filipinos, and I'm first generation here in the States. And as young as 5 or 6, I mean, I have a picture of me, actually 2 or 3 years old, with a microphone singing, I Wanna Rock With You All Night, Michael Jackson.
Wow.
And my dad, I mean, that's our family growing up. It was always like singing a song, right, to you as a kid, but then always playing music. And my mom and dad, like you, love music. They consume music. Oh, they go on and on about certain artists. But I think my mom's experience in the Philippines, she wanted us to have piano, ballet, tap, and jazz. So of all places that my dad was stationed in as a military kid was in Iowa. And that's where I had my first piano and dance lessons. And then my dad was stationed in Japan and brought back a karaoke machine. And that's where the singing really began, because now we had a microphone to hold on to, not just a hairbrush. But the way my family and I would correspond, I used to think we were actually talking directly to my dad. But my mom had this idea of if we record ourselves singing, we would send him a tape cassette, and that was our letter to him, talking to him and singing to him. So then my dad would send the same thing back when he was in Japan for a whole year. He would send back tape cassettes saying, "Oh, I heard your piano. That's so good, Debralee." But then he would sing us songs too. So then he would start singing a cappella.
That's so
But
cool.
here we are. This machine would actually, they would call it -1 or that was all how I remember it. -1 tracks, where you could take the voice off, practice singing with the vocal or without it. But at the end, it would give you the score. So we would always try with da-da-da-dun-da-dun, and it gives you that flashing. If you were in line with the vocal, you got 100%.
Wow, that's pretty
If
cool.
not. So early on, I think singing for me, watching shows on TV, and my parents would take us, to live shows. I think I just had this dream that I want to be on stage. It's just, and also growing up, I'm the oldest of 4 girls. We were initially encouraged and then over time forced to sing at every family gathering or party. So it was inevitable. Oh, the Daco sisters are going to sing. And it's like, okay. And so we would have our tape ready or CD and sing, the reason we sang. And then eventually church was a big part of our lives growing up. And that's where we did a lot of singing.
Wow,
and then eventually
that's
school
super cool.
and stuff like that. Yeah.
That's really cool. And the big question is do you still have that karaoke machine?
You know what? I was looking downstairs. I don't know. I don't think so. But we have all the tracks. I did see all the tracks. They're still there. They're still there.
We
That's
still
fun.
have
That would probably a retro analog feel to it.
Oh yeah, we still have the 8-track singing machine. That's
I love
that's
that.
antique for sure. You have there's
Nice.
like these
Nice.
2 huge suitcases filled with 8 tracks. Like my 7-year-old
love
niece is like, "What are those?"
Oh, I know. I love that. That is so cool. If that's not grammable, I don't know what is.
Oh yeah.
And so what is because I don't talk to too many people that actually been on big giant stages like you have, Debralee. What's that like to be on part of a title like that that's so recognized, and to be in front of an audience like that, like Miss Saigon or something like that. I mean, everybody knows that brand, right? And so to be attached to that, to be looking at that audience must be pretty magical.
Oh, it is. I remember the first time I had to go on. I came in the middle of the Miss Saigon tour, so everyone had already been together for about 6-7 months. So I was the new girl, very nervous about that, but it was a dream because literally months prior, I had gotten offered the Cinderella tour, national tour.
Oh, wow.
And this was a big decision because, fresh out of school, you're like, take any job. But my heart was saying, do I really love Cinderella enough to do it 8 times a week versus maybe a dream show? And I had to decline. And when Miss Saigon came, I couldn't believe it. And I remember I was understudying the lead role and learning the ensemble tracks. So my brain in 1 month had to learn 2 different tracks. But I remember the first time on stage when I heard the tuning note of the orchestra, live orchestra, that's when my heart, just looking out on the stage doing, our sound check, I just went, oh, this is it. Just to hear the orchestra behind me and the cast there supporting me as I was running, they call a put-in rehearsals. I was running through, the rehearsal as the lead. I don't know. It's like electric. It's electric. It's everything you dreamed of. And not to mention, this was a dream show for me. So to have waited, declined another job, and then this came like shortly after, it was magical,
Wow.
to say the least.
That's crazy. That's crazy. And then again, how did you guys meet?
We met actually We actually met through a mutual friend in Midtown, and it was at a church service.
Mm-hmm.
And Kara and I hit it off. I remember she had crutches at the time.
That's another story.
I think it was crutches. Yeah, yeah.
Different episode.
Yes.
Yeah.
But yeah, we met and we just kept in touch. And I feel like we always had a great connection when we met. And she was really busy with what she was doing. And I think at the time, me too, we were in separate but similar worlds with mutual
Mm-hmm.
friends. And so it wasn't strange, to get a Facebook message from Kara when she was like, you're in Los Angeles? And I'm like, and of the few times I actually checked Facebook, because I'm really bad at it, I was like, oh, it's Kara. I knew her as Kara Eldridge, but now Bertok. And then, yeah, it's history from there, because as soon as we connected, it was like we just picked up where we left off.
Well, and I
Wow,
have to
that's
add
exciting.
to this, because I remember vividly meeting Debralee. And, it's New York. I was always around musical theater people. I worked in the theater community. And our friend, I knew her from an acting class that I did, our mutual friend. But I just remember how just engaging Debralee was, and just listening to everything, and just an amazing, charismatic personality. So when I found her years later on Facebook, and it was actually, my business was growing, I'm like, wow, I really need someone else on my team, but I need a very specific personality. You can't teach someone to be charismatic and to just naturally be that engaging. So when I saw her on there, I told my husband, I'm like, oh my gosh, Debralee Daco, I have got to reach out to this girl, and hopefully she's into the idea. And I feel like we met up, and I think I mentioned it in that first conversation, and you were like,
oh yeah, Kara didn't
what do
waste
you do?
any time. Kara is what the beauty of what Kara does, and even I didn't even realize the capacity of her business, because I've hosted fun things here and there, but what her business is about is it's all encompassing. You're a party planner on top of a coordinator, on top of a host and an entertainer, and performing all in one. And when Kara, what made me comfortable about this gig, aside from the fact that I needed a job, it was already something I enjoyed doing. I love singing already. I love interacting with people. And she was offering me a gig or a job that I'm like, great, I get to get paid what I love doing. It was easy.
So good. I mean, that's everybody's fantasy, right? That they get paid what they normally do when they wake up every day. So that's really awesome. And Kara, I also know you as a voiceover artist.
That's right. Anything involving a microphone, let's do it. Yeah, and the musical theater, I was never cast as an ingenue ever, and I never wanted to be cast as an ingenue. I was always kind of that goofy sidekick character, and I loved all the voices from it. And I'm doing commercial voiceover work, but trying to get into animation as well, and it's fun to do that again, because I've missed that part of acting, just being silly, being spontaneous, and coming up with things on the fly. I guess that's the same.
And
as
you must have a
spontaneous.
pretty rich household with your husband as a composer. You're not shy about getting in front of a microphone. I mean, it must be just like your music is your universe kind of thing.
It has really, really worked out. And I'll just do another plug for Debralee, because she's so amazing. And I feel like she's being a little timid.
Please,
She keeps saying
there can't be enough plugs, so go for it.
Yeah, I was the lead in Miss Saigon. She was Kim, if that's not clear, which is the lead. And it's very rigorous vocals. I mean, even when she told me she played that part, I'm like, oh my gosh, how did you do that for like 8 shows a week? Just last year, my husband scored a show. He wrote music for a show on Netflix called Home Game. And there was an episode specifically about the Philippines and free diving. And
Oh, wow.
the producers wanted a song in Tagalog. Am I saying that right, Debralee?
Tagalog. Yeah.
Tagalog.
OG.
Yeah.
What
And-
Americans say Tagalog, but
Oh,
Tagalog.
yeah. I want to say it right. And my husband said right away.
Yeah, don't leave it up to me.
But he asked, he's like, do you think Debralee would, I mean, he had heard her sing, thought, I think her voice would be perfect. Do you think she would want to write something with me? So they were able to collaborate. And if you watch that episode on Netflix at the very end, beautiful, beautiful vocal at the end. And the composer got a lot of really wonderful feedback from, especially people from the Philippines. Like, wow, who sang that? This was so beautiful. So it's been really nice to kind of have Debralee integrated in many facets of my life now. Like, Debralee, come help me with this, come do that. And she joined the choir with me. I like kind of forced her to join the choir, and that's been a lot of fun too.
That's cool. That's cool. And so with Karaoke, what's been sort of the most memorable experiences with clients? Has anything really stood out?
Oh my gosh. I don't know how many things I could share.
Another episode again.
Yeah. This is episodes for sure.
Well, one thing that I feel really grateful, being in Los Angeles, when I first started out, I honestly did not think this was something I could do a full time. And within a few weeks, I was able to book a gig for a kids party. And I remember several moms coming up to me and saying, oh my gosh, I've never found like another female who hosts karaoke. It's usually older men. So I realized, ding, 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 here's a market that I didn't really think about. Yeah. I would say like 40% of my business are kids parties, and the rest are like private house parties and corporate events for larger companies. But Debralee and I had the opportunity to host karaoke on the Promenade in Santa Monica. They were trying a new kind of feature like I think it was like once a month or once every 2 months. Karaoke on the Promenade. And we were both pretty nervous about this. Like, it may just be the Kara and Debralee cabaret. Will people, because, it's not an atmosphere where people can, like, have a drink. They didn't even have chairs out for people to sit down. We're like, this could be really awkward. Which is some karaoke parties. Sometimes it's just really awkward for a while until people, get warmed up to the idea. But I think it was our first one, Debralee, that we did. And we got some of these kids involved. And Debralee was like, we were sweating by the end of this thing, running off the stage, taking the microphone into the crowd. And we had a mom and her daughter. I think there were two of them. They were not from California. They were from somewhere else. And then we had this girl from France, I think. Do you remember that? From France. Yeah. She was incredible. And it just was amazing that, she just started singing. All these people came gathering around. They don't know each other at all. And everyone's just out there supporting, cheering her on. That's the kind of karaoke experience we love. And then I randomly saw some friends, had no idea I was going to be there hosting. So that's one of my favorite karaoke experiences. And then I got to co-host with Debralee, and it makes it easier when you have a co-host to get people pumped up and into it when it's that kind of situation where you're like, this could either be
we work off well together.
Yes, we do.
We have this one of the things that I really enjoyed about, first of all, the comfortability and trusting Kara's leadership and management with Kara Karaoke was also her professionalism as an entertainer. And I feel so comfortable with her. I am not a fan, I shouldn't say fan, but when it comes to improvisation,
right.
I kind of need a little script, I need a little template. And Kara kind of outlines it a little bit for you, but it is so comfortable with her and her personality and what she already naturally does. She's also just as charismatic. She's a performer at heart, whether she's been on the big stage or not. She's definitely, as a natural talent, natural performer. But I will say she knows how to engage all ages. That is
Yes.
something that I was really impressed with, because with kids, it takes a special kind of person to really get them going. And then with older people, an older age group, or shy, even introverts in person, Kara has given me some tips that has helped me immensely, even as an actor, believe it or not, where it takes you out of your mind and out of yourself. And it's really, again, like she said earlier, the gift of that music and what music does brings this kind of natural healing, and it's almost it's a community, a sense of community, even if you don't know someone. And you're immediately in it, just like the theater community. You're already instant family. We make mistakes together. We forget the words together. We sing off key together, and it's okay, And the best part, and I'm like Kara, I need the lyrics. So if you get lost, you just follow along.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
Wow, that's awesome. That's really awesome. I think the next episode's going to be life lessons I learned from karaoke, tips from Kara and Debralee on living a good life.
Exactly. It's all, start with your go-to songs that they, bring about different feelings every time you sing it,
Mm-hmm.
Singing Total Eclipse of the Heart, that's like my introvert song, and like Don't Stop Me Now by Queen, that's my let's do this, even if I am so tired and I'm in the worst mood, I got to put on a show. Give me the tambourine, give me the microphone. Let's do this. Yeah, we're gonna figure out a duet.
Mental health market
Vince,
that you have.
Yes.
I love it. When I was a kid in grammar school, I think it was at the Pantages, Zoot Suit with Olmos. So I was very young, and we saw that. And then I didn't really get the weight of it until, you live life long enough and you see his career go on, and you see the impact of a show like that and how it has this impact, over many, many years. You get to see how that sits. And then, looking forward, I don't know if you guys saw Jesus Christ Superstar with John Legend, and, super modern take on, something that was, very popular in the 60s. And you could see like the beauty of the interpretations from new writers and new directors and, people that have a different take on something that we all know super well. Mm-hmm. It's really fun to watch that sort of, move forward and evolve, and then, the Heights come out, and, that was really, I was kind of lucky to watch that in the theater without really knowing anything about it. I almost didn't even know, I'm embarrassed to say this, I didn't even know it was on theater before it was a film. We all knew of the other one, that Hamilton, but I didn't know this one as a stage performance. So it was really fun for me to see this with fresh eyes and to watch it. And, we've all been around production long enough to know that is enormously difficult to put something out like that and to make it have a lot of charisma and heart. And
that show really is a great example. I remember when I saw that show in New York. I actually lived in Inwood. Any New Yorkers watching this who know where that is, it's actually above Washington Heights, Inwood. Mm-hmm. And that show I remember within the first 30 seconds that show started, and it just took me somewhere. The music, the choreography, and, that just goes to show you just whatever interpretation it may be, if it's on the stage, if it's in a film, even if it's just orchestral that you're watching or listening to, it just takes you somewhere amazing. And I also have to say, I did see Jesus Christ Superstar, but with Ted Neely in the 90s. Oh, wow. Which might date me a little bit there.
Yeah,
that was cool. Incredible, and one of the best productions I've ever seen. So that's the original Jesus, who's also in the film.
Yeah.
I wonder, is he still playing that role? I think he's like in his 70s now. He might still be playing Jesus.
Yeah, I saw it actually with a Christian contemporary artist who played Oh God, his name leaves me, but that was one of my first shows too when I moved to New York, was Jesus Christ Superstar, and what an incredible show. I love that they're making some of these shows more relevant, or they're sprucing it up in a sense, you know what I mean? To make these kind of more traditional shows relevant to, I think, this generation now. Not taking it too much from its intention, which I appreciate, but
Yeah,
you
for
know,
sure.
the music, there's something about the music. It's Andrew Lloyd Webber too. He's the icon there. He's very iconic in musical theater. So
Yeah, yeah, that's crazy. That's crazy. All right, so let me, because I want to be mindful of you guys' time. So let me just round out a couple more questions. So for Karaoke, what do you want to do going forward? Is there any, if you had a magic wand, what new path would you take with it?
Oh, wow. Well, what the pandemic definitely showed me was I can still be creative, because I definitely remember
Mm-hmm.
when in the middle of March of 2020, all of my clients for the next 3 months canceled within, 48 hours. And I definitely had a moment of,
Sure.
is my business done? Will I recover from this? And luckily, with Debralee's help, we came up with a virtual game called Karaoke Quiz Show, which you've played, Vince. And in the
Mm-hmm.
last year, we've been able to play this game with people all over the world. We had a client in Tel Aviv play it. We had clients in Serbia and Germany and Norway. And it just showed me that, you know what? Even though it's such a niche market, karaoke, the sky is the limit. So I would love to continue to obviously host live events and grow my team if I can find people as amazing as Debralee. And I would be remiss if I didn't mention I have a girl named Sarah on my team, and Laura, who are fantastic as well. And
Cool.
when I just continue bringing the joy of music to people in person and virtually, if people are still
Mm-hmm.
willing to do that, if they're not completely zoomed out by now, to ensure people that we can absolutely bring you an engaging experience virtually if you can't do something in person. So you can keep staying in contact with the family and friends that don't live
Yeah.
within a mile radius,
Yeah. 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 That's very cool. And Deborah Lee, what's next for you? What's on the agenda? Are you working on anything, or anything you could talk about, or?
oh, got a couple things on the burner here. I'm excited to actually go back to New York for a visit this fall, now that it's opening up. So, a couple things on the horizon. Currently, just teaching and coaching kids in musical theater, which has
Nice.
been a joy for me in person, and auditioning. Just auditioning now. I'm starting to finally jump into the. I'm putting it out there. I'm already saying it out loud. In the film TV world, like I think
Oh,
I'm
nice.
from the Broadway stage. It's now
Yeah.
time to really, now I've been in LA, got karaoke hosting under my belt, a couple
Yeah.
of game shows too, thanks to Kara,
Oh, yes.
that I've got, familiar with the TV.
We were on a game show together. Yeah, I don't remember the name of it, but we
Oh,
were on
fun.
one.
And we won. We won.
Kind of
Shocking.
one.
Kind of won. But it was all teamwork, yeah. But just staying creative, and like Kara, I'm learning to be my own business as well, business owner.
Oh, nice. That's exciting. I really love that. Well, if there's anything I can do for either one of you, please don't reach out to help. Happy to share resources or anything I have. And I really, 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 really thank you guys for your time. I mean, this was really awesome, and I know I'm looking forward to see how things develop with both of you. And I'm just, I appreciate it. It's funny because when we were doing the quiz show, in the back of my mind, I'm like, God, it'd be fun to put these guys on the podcast. And I just was like, I'm not even thinking about the show. And I'm like, wow, it'd be really fun to have these guys on the show. So I really appreciate, you making the time to do this, because it's been a lot of fun for me.
Of course. Thank you.
Totally.
And thank you for playing. I know you actually played the game twice, which I loved, and you
Yes.
came back for more.
Yes.
So thank you for that. This was great. Thank you so much, Vince. And great to see
Yes,
Debralee
so
again.
much fun. Yes, thank you
thank you,
so
thank you.
much. So much fun.
If I can shrink my screen here a little bit and get it closer to my camera. I think we should just talk about your bangs the entire time.